There's almost no areas I'd be considered an expert in. When it comes to intelligence, I rank just barely above Patrick Star, but there is one field in particular I really think I'm a connoisseur of and would be considered one of the preeminent experts in that domain. Dumb things on stream. I have this all-seeing eye. I've got my feelers everywhere in order to stay finger on the pulse and up to date with every awful stream moment that happens. Usually it's a bunch of harmless cringe material that's not serious, but today I've got something dangerously stupid to share with you. This is probably the dumbest recorded broadcast with a firearm I've seen since that Twitch streamer did a desk pop and blew a hole through his wall and executed his cup by shooting his gun while live. And then he made like a Mr. Beast thumbnail face in response to it because he couldn't believe he just fucking shot around in his house. He got banned for that, rightfully so. You can't just be cosplaying Yosemite Sam and start fucking blasting around. It's called a negligent discharge when you recklessly fire it and it poses a threat of injury or death to someone around you, which is what happened there. He accidentally fired off around his own home. It could have easily struck someone innocent and killed them. It's a bad thing. And that, to me, was still the dumbest moment I have ever seen on stream until it was beaten today by this.
Where? Oh my god!
What the hell was that?
He shot it! Jeezer!
Yo, y'all living the life, bro. What the fuck? I just got shot at.
Apparently that's a Marine. I don't know if it's a current or former Marine. If it's a current one, I hope he's ready to be a former one. He just got caught on camera committing a crime. It's a negligent discharge. That's a textbook showcase of what a negligent discharge looks like. You can hear him flip off the safety and then fire those 2 rounds just to play a joke on Aiden Ross. But that joke could have easily resulted in him blowing his fucking foot off with that. You would have had Aiden Ross streaming with a goddamn peg leg like a pirate here from this stunt. I couldn't believe what I watched. In fact, I was in disbelief and trying to debunk this myself, thinking that perhaps he was using blanks and this was a staged stunt. But I watched it back, and it doesn't seem like blanks. It blows up a sufficient amount of dirt. Now, there's a misconception about blanks in general where people believe that it basically turns a gun into a toy, where it's 100% safe, nothing can go wrong really, when that's just not true. Bruce Lee's son was actually killed by being shot close range with a blank round. Sometimes shit happens. There's accidents. There is a lot of danger that can still be posed when using blanks. So even if it is blanks that he's using, it's still reckless to shoot it like that close to Aiden Ross next to a human being. But like I said, I don't think it's blanks. I'm pretty sure these are live rounds that he used for that.
Where?
Here's another angle that showcases the proximity of the shots relative to Aiden's feet. Luckily, no one was hurt here, but there's something else I want to mention. He just fired this weapon when nobody around in this video has eyes and ears on, meaning no one has eye protection or ear protection on. Guns are really fucking loud, and if you're firing a gun without ear protection, that can cause some actual hearing damage. Which is why whenever you go to a firing range or anything that's even remotely professional, you'll see everybody is wearing ears and eyes. They have protection on. No one here does, meaning I'm sure some people had their ears wrung from that one in a pretty severe way. All just because Goofball wanted to play a practical prank on Aiden. The haha, I almost blew your foot off prank. A timeless classic, I guess. There's only like a couple of rounds that you can fire without ear protection comfortably, and those are subsonic rounds mainly. Like that you can fire without ear protection and not have your ears bleed. But those are not subsonic rounds that he's using, I don't think. It certainly doesn't sound like it. I've fired quite a few subsonic rounds of my own. I know what they sound like. I don't think that was an example of it at all. Unless he's using some really special Marine exclusive prototypes or something. There is just so much wrong with this 20-second clip here. I still am in disbelief that a Marine apparently did this. I don't know what he thought would happen as a result of it. This isn't something that normal people just brush off as like a silly moment or like, just a joke. That is something that just put the entire life of Aiden Ross in jeopardy with that one simple decision right there. Again, firearms are not a toy. Like, there was so much that could have gone wrong there. Like, after firing the first shot, maybe it kicks a little too much and it throws his wrist off a little bit, and then it aims more at Aiden, and he fires the second shot, and just fucking splits his leg in half right from the shin. There is so much that could have gone wrong. It's a miracle it didn't. Now, I have to imagine, with how viral this clip has gone, that Marine is probably going to face punishment. Again, it's a crime. It's a negligent discharge. Like, there's no way of arguing otherwise. So yeah, I just wanted to show this because I was baffled by that clip. Again, even if it's blanks, it's still reckless and a dangerous thing to do. So yeah, this is probably the dumbest stream moment I've seen now, beating the previous negligent discharge of a firearm from a streamer, which is crazy. But anyway, that's about it. So yeah. For about the last week now, I've just been sitting here stewing, just letting some juices marinate in my old noodle up here, as I've realized just how dangerous it is to have an argument in the real world in these days. I remember growing up, usually if you started beefing with someone, like you're insulting each other, like, hey, stupid face, are you looking for moron town? It's that way, idiot. You know, that would be letting bygones be bygones. Maybe they sigh and insult you back and you go about your separate ways. Or if the stars align and someone's real heated, they get real steamy, maybe you shove each other and a couple of wet noodle punches are thrown, just some really low-calorie knuckle sandwiches, but at the end of the day, both people walk away all right, and that's the end of it. I don't think that's the case anymore. Every single day now, I'm reading about how a very trivial argument or disagreement over something minor leads to somebody in a coffin. Just an absolute body bag over fucking nothing. I talked about this recently because I made a video on my second channel. I've been making a lot of content exclusive to the second channel like I said I would. And I covered a story that was really like beyond pathetic and sad. It was about a man who murdered an 18-year-old because that kid had responded to his Facebook post with a laughing emoji. I couldn't even imagine the mentality of an unhinged lunatic that felt that that was an appropriate response to that kind of meaningless nonsense. Like, these days, if you do something so much as putting too much mayonnaise on a sandwich, it could be a death sentence. I've talked about that story so many times, but it still, like, actually weighs on my mind that there are just so many people around us that are just one small inconvenience away from killing someone. Just an actual murderer waiting to happen, just waiting for that one small spark to ignite that rage inside of them. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, it's because I keep getting stories about this shit happening, so I just wanted to share a couple from the last week or so. Yesterday, I shared some good, positive things going on in the world, so I figured today it's time to counterbalance that with some horrible shit that's happening. So, I mentioned the laughing emoji murderer. I'm just going to show you pieces from that video I already made covering it, and then getting into the other ones I wanted to talk about. But on Facebook, a gentleman had posted a picture of himself and his milady, him and his girlfriend, and somebody gave a laughing emoji reaction to it. And for that, he murdered them. When I went over this on stream, chat started saying L. Joe Dirt, because, I mean, his mugshot here makes him look like Joe Dirte. This fucking inbred loser looks illiterate, but somehow he was able to actually start talking to the victim on Facebook. I guess in between whippets, he started responding to the guy who wrote the laughing emoji, who, you know, posted the laughing emoji, which this guy took as him dropping the gauntlet and challenging his honor. So he starts poking him a little bit, you know, trying to get some bread, huh? And shit, I don't know, you the one on my dock. Which I think he means dick. The fuck you even react to my shit for anyways? I'm ready though. Which is just such an unbelievably insane response. You're reacting to my shit? Okay, well I stay ready. Huh? When and where? When and where? You have the laughing emoji here? Prepare to die, bitch. Eventually the two agreed to meet up at a park to fight, where Watkins fatally shot them. This was mind-blowing to me that the victim would even agree to meet up with this fucking maniac. I don't know what he was expecting to happen there, some kind of honorable knight's code like fisticuffs. Like, you know, we're gonna settle this like some pugilistic men from back in the day with our fists. Let our knuckle sandwiches do the talking. Surely this fucking weirdo on Facebook isn't gonna do anything sketchy or fishy. I don't know why he would agree to meet up at a park to fight about it, but yeah, they go to the park to fight it out where Watkins and friends end up shooting, which kills the 18-year-old and also injures another woman. So I guess it turned into like a big shootout almost, where a lot of shots were fired. So not only was Tanner Watkins arrested for murder, but another person named Caleb Ramses was as well. All of this over a laughing emoji used on Facebook. Now Tanner's in jail for life, most likely, and that girl that he was defending the honor of so steadfast is now just going to be getting piped by other men. So amazing decision making here from Tanner, really. Throwing his whole life away because someone laughed at him and his girlfriend, and now his girlfriend will no longer be his girlfriend. She is going to find another man while he rots in prison for the rest of his fucking life for killing a man over a laughing emoji. It doesn't get more pathetic than that. I promise you, Tanner did not have the last laugh here. He became an even bigger joke that now everyone's dropping laughing emojis on because he ruined his whole fucking life over nothing. And of course, it's also important we talk about Caleb Ramsey here, who also threw his life away because his friend had a laughing emoji dropped on him. So this guy is an even bigger cuck somehow. That's that story in a nutshell. I then went on to talk about kind of what I briefly mentioned here about how dangerous it is just to even engage in a potential fight with somebody. I really do think when it comes to altercation in the real world, it's best just to de-escalate as much as possible because, like in a road rage incident, you never know what the other person's capable of and how far they're going to go. But then sometimes it doesn't matter how hard you try and de-escalate something, it's almost inevitable. Fate stepped in order to bless you with an asshole that just wanted to commit an atrocity against you for no reason at all. Like the story I'm about to share with you now about a man from Florida, classic Florida man story. I know all great fairy tales begin in Florida. This man nearly beat to death another man with a golf club because he made the mistake of walking on the cart path of a golf course.
And a traumatic brain injury. We first showed you this body cam video last night at 11. It shows deputies arresting Eddie Robit on a charge of aggravated battery. So now at 5, News 6's Emily McLeod is live in Lake County. Emily, you spoke with the victim in this.
Joseph Sivak is recovering from broken ribs, a ripped ear, and several facial fractures after Lake County Sheriff's deputies say this man, Leesburg dentist Eddie Orobit, beat Sivak with a golf club.
Now the attacker here, who looks like he's in the witness protection program, he's actually a dentist, so I imagine this may have been part of a bigger plan to fuck this dude's face up, like rearrange his teeth so that way he'd have to see him later on in order to fix it. So maybe this is a money generating scheme and this isn't the first time. But anyway, in a nutshell, that man and his wife were walking along the cart path. They weren't playing golf, so it's a pretty fucking stupid place to be walking because you could just get hit by balls. Like, you're not supposed to do that, I imagine, because it's, it's a private course, I bet. But there's a way of handling that that doesn't involve beating the shit out of them, like, within an inch of their life. So he broke multiple ribs, a potential traumatic brain injury, fractured skull, ripped ear, all of that, because he walked on that cart path, and instead of just having a conversation, the guy walked up to him, spit in his face, hit him with the golf club in the leg, to which the victim tried to defend himself with a plastic water bottle, but unfortunately he brought a water bottle to a golf club fight, and damn near ended up like Joel from The Last of Us 2 here. Like, the guy did not hold back, and he had the gall, the fucking chutzpah, to be surprised that he was getting arrested. That is insulting. He's like, what are you arrested me for? What, Because I almost killed a guy? Like, what? What happened to this being a free country? I can't just beat this man to death for walking on the golf cart path? Oh, are you kidding me? Oh my god. This is pathetic. Oh, this is sickening. Now, I'm not here to give you a new phobia, but this might just change the way you look at standard yard care equipment. A man in Illinois was shot and killed over using a leaf blower. Just normal, sprucing up the old driveway, the old front yard. Using the leaf blower, he got into an argument with his 79-year-old neighbor, who then shot and killed him. I'm surprised that 79-year-old was even able to pull the trigger with the amount of arthritis they must be encumbered by. Just downright evil. Now, according to neighbors, these two did have a history leading up to this. Not that there's any kind of history that would excuse murdering a man in cold blood over using a fucking leaf blower, but apparently the two weren't exactly on friendly terms, and based on this story, I'm gonna say that the 79-year-old was most likely the jerk here in this relationship. What an unbelievable piece of shit. I've seen quite a few more over the last week, but I'm only going to show you one more story here, and the reason I want to bring this one up is because in situations where there's like an argument that was filmed or a fight that broke out and something happens, I see a lot of people on Twitter saying, how did no one step in and get in the middle of this and stop this bad thing from happening, or like do something to protect everyone? And like, I don't think this is necessarily a bad take or anything. Like, it's noble, like you want to see the good in people, that someone would be a fucking anime hero and step up and put the kibosh on everything like a fucking saint. Everyone simmers down and everyone shakes hands and walks away. But the reality of the situation is that doesn't always happen. Usually when someone tries to intervene in a situation that's escalated, like in an argument, they usually end up being a victim as well. So in the case of this story I'm about to show you, a couple was arguing at a restaurant, someone tried to calm them down, and was fucking shot for it.
An early morning shooting in Hollywood. Police say a man and woman were arguing near the El Compadre restaurant on Sunset Boulevard just after 2:30 this morning. Another man tried to intervene and then was shot by that man who was having the argument. Well, the suspect then took off. The victim was taken to the hospital, and no word yet tonight on his condition.
There is a real justifiable fear from bystanders that are watching an argument escalate or a situation or fight break out for why they don't intervene and put themselves in danger there, because it could come at the cost of their life, getting shot or some horrible shit like that. So it's a fucking lose-lose situation most of the time. It's fucking scary. I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because I keep seeing these stories. Again, I don't know if this is just so much access to information, so you're just inundated with all of the most awful stories all the time, or if there really is just an increase in the frequency of these deadly, violent shootings and killings over such small things. I don't really know. It could be either one. But I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. That's it. So, yep. I'm ashamed to admit this, but I've already confessed to this sin numerous times now, and I'll do it again in front of you and God. I use Twitter. Actively. I spend a decent chunk of time on Twitter. It's this beautiful cesspool that acts like a portal into the dimension of pure, unhinged lunacy, and I can't look away. It's like a curse that keeps drawing me back in. And you'd think that after spending so much time on Twitter, I'd seen all the stupidest shit the world had to offer from all of the dumbest people in this godforsaken dimension we live in. But you'd be wrong. Somehow there are still videos that shock me with the pure level of absolute insanity that's put on display. You may have heard this story already, or you may not have, but regardless, I'm gonna drag you kicking and screaming into the light and show you an imbecile that's so stupid they're a legitimate danger to the people around them. You remember Ed from Ed, Edd n Eddy? Yeah, he was a big fucking idiot, real silly, but he was a harmless moron. The goofy goober I'm about to show you nearly got a woman killed for no reason and left her with permanent injuries that will haunt her for the rest of her life. A Colorado officer pulled over and arrested a woman on suspicion of road rage, and she put the suspect in the back of her police vehicle. A police vehicle that was parked on fucking train tracks. Something that an actual child, a baby brain, would know not to do. In Mario Kart, no one would even park on the train tracks. Yet, in the real life, a police officer parked their vehicle on train tracks, put the suspect in handcuffs in the back of the car, and then, guess what happened? A fucking train came and obliterated the car, with the suspect inside. It's a miracle she didn't die. Somehow she survived with very serious injuries, but this officer pulled off like a Looney Tunes level assassination plot here. Like, parking your car on train tracks with a suspect inside, that's like something you do in Red Dead Redemption 2, as a way of like torturing someone, like tying them to the tracks or some shit. This honestly feels like an elaborate attempt at murdering the suspect. It's actually fucking wild. I'm gonna show the video now. There's nothing graphic in the video, but it is still disturbing knowing that there's someone inside this vehicle that gets hit by the train. So just a fair warning there.
Is that Hart?
No, that's time check. Oh my god.
Officers noticed what was about to occur. A freight train colliding into a Platteville police cruiser parked on train tracks along Highway 85 and County Road 36.
Dispatch number 346, status medical emergent. The suspect was in the vehicle that was hit by the train.
You'll never guess the outcome for the officer that did this. Paid administrative leave. So, nearly kill a woman by having them be hit by a train and then take a little paid vacation. It's crazy how this happens every single time like clockwork. It's a fucking joke. I'm not here to even really talk about that. I want to focus on this situation in particular. How the fuck can you make this kind of mistake? It almost feels like it's not a mistake. It really feels like this officer was just trying to kill this woman in a really creative way. If I'm being honest, I don't know what's scarier. This being a case of an absolute villain, a psychopath just trying to kill this suspect, or it being a case of her being so fucking dumb that she actually thought it was okay to park on train tracks. I really don't know which one's the scarier situation, because if she's this stupid and somehow a police officer, how many others are this dumb and also police officers? Fucking terrifying. In the video, not only can you hear the train for a good like 8 to 10 seconds, you can hear it coming from miles away, it's a fucking train, but you can also even see the train in the background because of the goddamn lights. It's a fucking train! It's like one of the hardest things in the world to miss. Now, I know I've been singling out the protagonist here, the officer responsible for handcuffing the suspect and putting her in the police cruiser that she parked on the train tracks, but it's not just her. Every officer at the scene is at fault here. How could not a single one of them use their brain for even a fraction of a second and rationalize that this is probably not good? You don't need to be a turbo nerd with perfect scores on your SAT, pass the bar, and solve the Millennium Math Prize problem in order to figure out that something's gone awry if your vehicle is parked on train tracks. It's a dangerous situation. Not one of them stopped for a second and just looked around like, these tracks. What are these peculiar markings? They look man-made. I don't think these are naturally occurring Colorado dirt tracks. What uses tracks? Alright, trains. Oh my god! Like, how? How are the neurons not firing in this situation? Like, do they just have no survival instincts whatsoever? Obviously they don't care about the suspect. No one really gave a spirited attempt to save their life or anything. But even still, they clearly didn't recognize the danger here, so I'm assuming they also could have just been hit by that train as well, because all of them failed to recognize the situation. This happened in the middle of the night. There is not a single other car around. There's not a single sign of life around. They could have parked those cars in any position for miles around that area and been safe. And somehow they chose the only position that was dangerous, on train tracks in the middle of fucking nowhere here. Like, this isn't a freak accident. This is gross stupidity on a level that is downright dangerous, and it almost cost a woman her life. According to the report, the lady was kicking and screaming and like frantically trying to get their attention to the oncoming train, because obviously, just panicking, because she had her eyes open and could obviously recognize the imminent threat, whereas apparently all of the officers, I believe it was 3 officers in total, somehow all of them went deaf at the same time, as well as got hit by like a flashbang and couldn't see the train somehow and just missed it and let it hit their car with the suspect inside. It's just crazy to me. Like, it is actually wild. But hey, at least they're investigating themselves. Those usually go well and turn up fucking nothing. But in this situation, I truly don't see how they could possibly drum up any kind of explanation that excuses this. Like, this is just so fucking dumb. I can't possibly think of any kind of explanation. Like, you can't even blame the suspect here, like, well, while the woman was in custody, her road rage took over again, the demon came out, and she started planting a railroad system underneath our car in order to divert a train onto the path of hitting our cruiser in order to blast herself out and free herself and escape. So, this is her fault. Like, there's nothing and no one to blame except all of the officers at the scene here. They're all so fucking stupid, and I don't know how this investigation could prove anything otherwise. But anyway, just wanted to talk about this a little bit, because this one got my blood boiling a bit. That's about it. So yeah. Alright everybody, stand back. I've got my whining diaper on, and I'm about to have an accident. I have a huge pet peeve I've talked about a lot on this channel, and that's parents that expect the internet to raise their kids for them, and then getting outraged when the internet doesn't raise them the way they want to, or if their kid finds something that they didn't approve of, even though they were completely absent in the child's life and just leaving them unsupervised to wander the World Wide Web cyberspace by themselves. There are a few things that make me as upset as when these parents all start having this temper tantrum like, why isn't YouTube doing more to protect our children from seeing videos with bad words in it? My kid just watched something where a guy said fuck while playing Roblox. This has gotta stop. And it's like the solution is super simple, just be a fucking parent. Don't just give them an iPad and walk away and consider your job as a parent done. It's always just extremely frustrating. But today I was reading some things that really grew my pet peeve to a broader scale. It started slapping new things together on top of it like a Megazord and Power Rangers coming together. So I think overall my huge issue here is just bad parents. So there's a lot of commotion and hubbub on TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook, the usual suspects, about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 being way too violent, dark, and disturbing for the PG-13 rating, saying they pushed it too far. And it also apparently has the MCU's first fuck, which I didn't know. I mean, I knew it was in the movie. There's a scene where Chris Pratt, with his potty mouth, says some foul language, dropping the F-bomb. But I didn't know that was the first time in MCU history, so they all collectively lost their goddamn minds about it. Just all this steam coming out of their ears and making these super heated and emotional cringe TikToks about the situation, saying that it's evil and this should have been an R-rated film. It really pushed the PG-13 rating way too far. And they started issuing these PSAs and warning like, don't bring children to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's too much for them. It's gonna scar them and traumatize them for life. It's almost like they were doing some kind of like air raid siren, like making sure all the neighborhood knew, like, hey, watch out, there's a dangerous person over there, we gotta avoid him at all costs. Like, they were going hog wild with it. And speaking of going hog wild, I recommend going hog wild with today's sponsor, Opera GX. Big thanks to Opera GX for sponsoring today's video. Opera GX is the best browser in the entire world. I've said that a million times now. I made the switch from Chrome to Opera a few years ago and I've never looked back. It is just far superior. It doesn't, hog all your resources. I have my own mod in Opera GX which changes the wallpaper, and it also comes with its own custom theme and sounds, so when you hover over things like the speed dial, it'll change the sound, which you can toggle on or off if you want to. But it also has opening and closing sounds associated with it. Baby! So yeah, it's just a wild and wacky fun thing. There's a huge selection of mods for Opera GX at the Opera GX store. Plus, you can also get all of my latest uploads in the GX Corner, which is available through the dedicated link. It's also a seamless transition from your current browser to Opera GX with the quick import feature. It'll take all of your settings, your browser history, cookies, all of that, and bring it right over to Opera without any headache, and as well as extensions, because Google Chrome extensions are compatible with Opera GX, and Opera GX has its own extension store as well. So it's all just a very easy thing to switch to, and is absolutely worth making the switch because Opera GX is the far superior browsing experience. If you're interested in getting started with the Opera GX for free, click the link in the description below. Now, I understand the MCU's Weenie Hut Jr. mode, and they all carry PG-13 ratings, but that's meant nothing. It's really been completely meaningless, more meaningless than the WinRAR free trial warning. So, I understand kids have been watching the MCU. In fact, most of those movies lean into that demographic, like trying to cater to actual children. The ones that are in the theater clutching their action figure in suspense, watching, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. All of these films have been suitable for, actual 6-year-olds. I get that. But they do still have a PG-13 rating, meaning that they don't recommend children under the age of 13 see them because it might be inappropriate for them. So you can't exactly be upset and shaking your fist when one does roll around that is actually probably not suitable for kids under 13, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Someone made a really great meme summing this up because it's embarrassing even talking about it this way because the movie's not that fucking intense. You're not going to go in there and leave with PTSD. I can't find the tweet, but it's the SpongeBob roller coaster meme here, and it was like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 PG-13 debate summed up. And it's obviously just poking fun at the people that are freaking out about the movie being super intense, even though in reality, it's not. Yes, it is darker, and it is, a more edgier MCU movie. It does deal with heavy themes like animal abuse, which is, definitely a first for the MCU. It's the first fuck and the first ASPCA commercial, really. And it also, of course, does have a bit of gore. There's a scene where a guy gets literally vaporized, and then they show, his corpse that's still charred, and, pieces of him are falling off. And the dude's face does get mauled, like his whole face gets peeled off in an animal attack. So they do show that, like his bloody, disfigured face. But, you know, aside from that, it's really, it's not something that I think anyone that's 13 and above is going to be, like, gasping and puking their brains out at. It didn't do anything that, like, pushed the PG-13 boundary. It played by all of the rules in there, it used its one fuck, and it used it pretty well, and it only had a couple of scenes where it's like, ah, that's kind of dark. It wasn't anything that was, like, crazy over the top. All of this is just such worthless controversy over nothing, just more things to get mad about for no fucking reason other than you're a bad parent who didn't take any level of responsibility here. It's the same energy as when a parent gets mad that they bought their kid an M-rated game and it's a little too bloody or it has some heavier themes that their child wasn't ready for. Your fault for buying them the M-rated game. Pay attention to the ratings because they are there for a reason. It's just super weird with modern parenting, and this is getting off on a bit of a tangent. I apologize for that, but it's related. You know, this isn't just coming out of fucking nowhere here. We're not fighting ghosts or anything. It's on topic. The parents will just sit their kids down in front of the iPad, just let them use the internet, and just have them be raised that way, or give them like some general entertainment franchises and have them raise their kid as well, like teach them the morals, and the parents are very hands-off, but then still feel like they have the right to complain when it wasn't done the exact way they wanted to, or if something went awry and the kid, you know, saw a video online that wasn't appropriate for them. It is, again, your fault. You did that. But now, parents don't want to really raise their kids, so they're asking, like, the government to step in and, like, censor shit on the internet that they feel is dangerous to kids for if they see it. And it's like, well, why do you want the government to come do that for you? Just be a parent, make sure the kid doesn't see anything they're not supposed to. You're supposed to be there monitoring your fucking toddler. So why are you asking Big Daddy, Big Brother Eye in the Sky to come in, micromanage everything in the world in order to cater to your kid and your lack of parenting? Like, just be more present in their life in order to make sure that they're not just scrolling through TikTok mindlessly for 12 hours a day, rotting their fucking brain and ruining their attention span. I don't, like, it just makes me upset that the first thing that happens in a case, and not so much with Guardians of the Galaxy, this is more about like the general internet. The first thing that happens is the parents get upset, like, oh, my kid was looking for tutorials on YouTube and a bad actor popped up, so now I'm suing YouTube and demanding censorship on the platform because what if another child sees this? Well, it's like, why not just be there when your kid's on the internet, so that way when you recognize that there's a video that isn't appropriate, is in the algorithm, you can make sure they don't click on it. That's the whole point of being a parent with a toddler that you are raising. You're supposed to be raising them, not having the internet do it for you. And I just don't like how the first line of defense is always to start complaining to like a higher authority to change something in order to cater to your bad parenting and lack thereof parenting. It's just, it's always so fucking frustrating. And it also happens a lot with video games with like M ratings. Like, why is this game M? It should be adults only. I bought this for my 7-year-old and it's way too bloody. What the fuck is this? This should be only adults. War crimes? Oh my god. Adults only. I beg of you. Please. Do something about the madness. I don't know. I just needed to whine now too. Now I'm crying like one of their toddlers here who just saw a Finger Family video that went off the rails. It's just something that this Guardians of the Galaxy 3 debate has once again sparked a rage inside of me with, because I just wish parents would stop delegating that responsibility. The most important job of a parent is to raise a kid, and I wish they'd stop giving that to complete fucking strangers on the internet, or just the general expectation that everything and everyone in the world has to cater to them and the safety of their child when they don't feel like being there for them. So everything's got to be squeaky clean and sterilized with the bumpers and water wingies on it. So that way it can be completely safe in case a kid happens to see all the content. When really all of the issues get solved if the parent just does a good job parenting, or even attempts to be a parent and present. Like, I just hate that everything has the expectation that it has to be child friendly, when there is things that are just not made for kids. And in this case, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 13 is not made for actual children this time around, which I also think is a first in the MCU. This is definitely one that is more for, like, teenagers and above. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. That's it. See ya. I just saw a very wild clip. Politicians are no strangers to weird takes, but what Ted Cruz just said is so shocking. I actually can't believe this is real. I double-checked if this was like AI or like a bad lip-reading video or something dubbed over. It's not. He said it with his whole chest.
Senator Booker also said we should have bipartisan agreement. I think that's a great idea. We should have bipartisan agreement. How about we all come together and say, let's stop murders? How about we all come together and say, let's stop rape? How about we all come together and say, let's stop attacking pedophiles? I want you to look at what happened when the National Guard went to D.C.
What in tarnation? Pardon me? Can we roll that back, put it on the Jumbotron, please? There's no way he just said that out loud, right? What a crazy Freudian slip. Or maybe not even a Freudian slip. It looks like he is reading off a piece of paper for his monologue here. He might have wrote that down as like a really strong stamp that he needs to get across here about people need to come together to stop attacking pedophiles. What? Teddy, sweaty and ready out here trying to defend pedophiles or some shit? Man, those Epstein files are never coming out, huh? Heavens to Betsy. Now, you have to imagine that's not what he meant to say, so you would think that he'd pretty quickly scramble to set the record straight so there's no confusion on where he stands. I don't think he wants to be known as Ted Stop Attacking Pedophiles Cruz, but he never goes back to, like, explain what he tried to express. Also, nobody in the room challenges him on it, like, hey, Ted, quick question before moving on. Did you mean what you said at the end there? Like you said, you know, stop murder? Okay, good, yeah, alright. And then stop rape. Alright, good, yeah, no, rape's bad. Let's stop that. And then you said, stop attacking pedophiles, and I couldn't help but be confused because, well, attacking pedophiles is good. Like, that needs to happen more often. In fact, I'd argue we don't attack pedophiles enough. So what did you mean there at the end, Ted? But there is not a soul in this building that says anything about it, not even a peep. So they just move on.
Robbery fell by 57%. Homicide fell by 58%. Sex abuse fell by 40%. Those are real results. And Detective Pemberton?
Goober just carries on business as usual, as if nothing is abnormal about what he's just stated. No one in the room says anything about it, not even a whisper. That's crazy to me. Now, I attempted to do the impossible of putting together the jigsaw puzzle that is Ted Cruz's enigmatic mind, but that's like dividing by zero. I can't quite figure it out. I tried to understand like what he wanted to say, but fumbled, based on the slide that he pulls up, which is stats. Robbery, homicide, sex abuse. Homicide ties into the first thing he said about stopping murder, but then the second thing he says about stopping rape, well, that ties into sex abuse. The third thing, robbery, is not anything he ever said about stopping. So where the fuck does the word pedophile even come from? And how does the word attacking pedophiles even squeak out from between his foul butt cheeks? I've seen, like, long versions of this. Not the whole thing. Maybe at some point it comes up as like a, you know, previously on Dragon Ball Z I said this, but meant that. Maybe, but I haven't seen that. I checked both of his Twitter accounts, because apparently he's got two, and he posts, like, 8 times a day, and he hasn't uttered a peep about him saying to stop attacking pedophiles, that we should come together to stop attacking pedophiles. So maybe there's a chance that's what he actually believes. It's not that far-fetched. Just look at how the current administration handles everything in regards to Epstein, jumping around from lie to lie to lie about, oh, the Epstein files, they aren't real. The Epstein files, no, they were on my desk, but they're also not real. Also, there's no the new thing, there's no credible information that Epstein trafficked minors to others. There were no clients, there's no list. Also, Maxwell gets moved from a prison to a fucking summer camp, basically. So maybe Ted Cruz is just going full mask off, saying like, alright, enough is enough. Can we stop attacking pedophiles? The Epstein files are never coming out. Like, maybe that's what was on his mind. All in all, it's a pretty interesting strategy here from old Ted Cruz. The think about the pedophiles approach. Why won't anyone think of the pedophiles' feelings? No one's considering that. Stop being mean to pedophiles. Can we all come together and agree on that? Holy shit. It's unbelievable, man. Anyway, I just had to show you this. That's really about it. So yeah. There's been a ferocious debate that's raged on in the gaming community for a long time about trying to identify who is the stupidest individual in the entire industry. And I think most people have kind of agreed that it has to be John Riccitiello. He was the former Unity CEO who nearly led that company to the grave, nearly sinking a massive business through some of the worst business acumen I've seen since Mr. Krabs tried to charge for breathing. Also, speaking of charging for breathing, John Riccitiello really took some notes out of that playbook because he's also the former EA head who pitched the idea of potentially charging per reload. So this ghoul's name lives in infamy. He's like the gaming industry's Morbius. He just keeps coming up with flops and creatively failing. However, with the catastrophic blunder from Escape from Tarkov, a new name has entered the conversation for stupidest man in the video games industry, Nikita of Battlestate Games. So I covered this a couple days ago. Pretty much everyone has because it's been a huge deal, even outside of the Escape from Tarkov community. It's just an example of the worst parts of gaming with unbelievable, unchecked greed, misleading their community, fundamentally scamming their players, and a lot of shady shit that's also been going on at BSG here. And all of it over the last few days has served to kind of act like Chaozu on Nappa, just self-destructing this entire fucking company. So there's been two major updates that I just want to cover because it seems like Nikita has recognized the disaster that has unfolded here, and he is finally biting his pride, swallowing his ego, and trying to put out the fire that he has caused. So he's made some brief statements on it where he really wanted to stick to his guns and puff out his chest, fucking lat spreading here and refusing to move like a strong oak tree. No matter how much, controversy comes, hell or high water, he's not budging. That was like the hardball he tried to play initially. Then he was singing a little bit of a different tune when he dropped this update yesterday. He said, "Hello again. Let me clarify the situation in a little more detail regarding owners of the EOD version and access to the cooperative mode and also other issues. First of all, PvE game mode, this is not DLC. DLC, in my understanding, is the major additions to the game, including variations, functionality, and content that are released after the official release of the game as a themed DLC pack. Scav Life DLC, for example, which will add a lot of new mechanics and content for Scav gameplay and leveling." This is horseradish. This is like trying to argue that a poop is not a shit. It makes no sense whatsoever. You're just getting into these outrageous, mental gymnastics to try and explain why it's not DLC, even though by every possible definition, it is. And the reason this is so important, in case you're not caught up with the lore, is owners of the EOD edition were promised all future DLC for free. They paid a lot of money for EOD, and were promised future DLC will be free. However, with the Unheard edition, it was not going to be free. They were still charging $250, thus the EOD owners would still have to pay the extra money to upgrade to that, which goes against what was advertised for the EOD edition, which you can't do. That's misleading advertisement. You're fucking lying. You're fundamentally scamming with that. So he's trying very hard to come out of this squeaky clean with an explanation that no, it's not DLC. The Unheard edition, this is super different, not DLC. Thus, we don't have to play by our own rules that we set here. It's dumb. It's fucking stupid. Nikita does some more whippets here and continues saying, "Secondly, the specific functionality of the PvE mode is necessarily located entirely on a separate network infrastructure because, essentially, you play on our servers only in closed mode. At this stage, it's not possible to launch all players who are EOD holders. We don't have the required resources." He goes on to basically say they recognized everyone was super unhappy with this shit and they were tired of getting spit on for it, so they're going to be giving the PvE mode to all EOD version owners for free at the release of the game, when the server infrastructure will be improved to required capacity, also offering a 50% discount when upgrading to the Unheard version from EOD. Then they're also giving a Left Behind edition key to everyone who's already upgraded to the Unheard edition at the old price. And then goes on to say, more so that any player of any version of EFT can have the opportunity to test the PvE mode. We want to add the ability to purchase a separate early access to this mode. For EOD owners, there will be a 70% discount on the purchase of early access to PvE. It would be interesting to hear your thoughts on this idea. Next, regarding special items for the Unheard version, we plan to make restrictive or balancing changes for these items. This is it for now. Please share your thoughts. Thank you. Hey, Nikita, I'm sharing my thoughts. This isn't good enough. Where's the, hey, I'm sorry for being a greedy asshole? Where's that in this whole statement? Where's the, hey guys, look, I'm kind of a stupid idiot, I've been huffing that moron juice for a little too long, and I saw too many dollar bills on the table, so I made a dumb decision. Where's, like, the level of accountability for this? It's a terrible, 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 terrible decision that you see had a horrible effect on your game, and it made you panic. He's been desperately trying to lessen the blowback here while also not apologizing for anything, like not admitting that it was a mistake, but he's still not doing nearly enough at all. Like, I'm sharing my thoughts here, Nikita. I think you're a goober. I think you're a stupid goober. There's still pay-to-win, huge game-changing features being offered here. It is still pay-to-win. Like, he states that they're going to do some more balancing around it. It's vague, but, like, how about you just remove them? Just get rid of them. Like, people are fine with cosmetics. Like, take a temperature of your community. It seems like 99% would prefer if they were just cosmetics that you get here as opposed to pay-to-win items. Also, I don't even know why I'm, like, harping on this one because he did make another update, but I'm just still so shocked at this one that he thought this would be enough. It's not. And most sensible people called him out on it, saying that, nah, this just isn't gonna fucking cut it. This isn't going to save Tarkov from what you've done here. So he came back 9 hours ago with this. Greetings. I love the way he starts this, just making it sound like he's super enthusiastic. Like, he's got that holly jolly spirit running through his veins right now. He can't wait. He's got a big old smile on his face, even though I know that's not the case. That greetings can't hide the tears behind the keyboard that he's typing from. Let me continue my feedback on the current situation. First of all, I would like to say that I am very sorry that fans in the game community in general are experiencing these feelings. Unfortunately, I somehow did not foresee the fact of such a reaction, and now I have drawn conclusions for my future decisions. Unironically dropping a, I'm sorry you feel that way. That's impressive. That's such a non-apology off rip. This dude just can't. He cannot admit that he made a huge fuck up here. He can't admit that the core idea of charging 250 clams for a DLC and then absolutely butt-fucking everyone who grabbed your EOD edition is bad. The only thing he's taking accountability for is not foreseeing the community's reactions, which blows my mind because I don't know how you wouldn't see that coming unless your eyes are just closed. I don't know, he just puts like $100 bills over his eyes and closes himself off to the world. I don't know how you wouldn't expect that. But the only thing he's apologizing for is that people were upset at the situation. He's basically just like, hey, I didn't think you guys would be upset about being scammed. That's a head scratcher, man. That's so weird. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't think you guys were so fucking sensitive about being charged $250 and being lied to for this scam. Sorry how you feel that way, I guess. It's just a classic non-apology. Now I'll briefly summarize the main points. 1. About PvE access, we decided to just open it for EOD owners for free, but we will do it in waves. And as I said before, we don't have the server capacity right now. We will start this process as soon as possible. So he's finally caving and just saying, you know what? Alright, all EOD owners, we're doing it, and we're doing it in waves. We'll do it live. No mention on the frequency of those waves. I saw the comment section was still eating him alive, saying, I bet those waves are every 6 months, referencing the initial compromise where he's like, okay, we'll give you a free trial of 6 months. So it could still be that, I suppose. He's just changing the wording around it. 2. We also decided that we will add mod support for PvE mode after the release of the game, which is pretty fucking big from what I understand here. 3. About the Unheard Edition. We will not remove it. We want to keep the option for those who want to support the game more, but we will balance items, perks in this edition, as well as we will provide more rewards for those who upgraded with the old price. If that's more pay-to-win items, I'm actually going to squeal. We're going to provide more rewards for those who upgraded. Here's some more pay-to-win. That would actually have me squealing. But he's just referencing that the community knows this is all pay-to-win, so they're going to be balancing it. The best way of balancing that, Nikita, is to take that shit out. People don't want that in their games. No one wants to pay for an advantage, or play a game where people can pay for an advantage over those who don't. It sucks. It's terrible for the health of your game. So just fucking remove it and replace those bonuses with cool cosmetics or something like that. Something that doesn't drastically change the game, or even really change it in any way would be optimal. Just purely cosmetic shit would be preferable. 4. New EOD perks will be balanced too. We will remove prioritize matching option to keep everyone in the same spot, and we will add more unique stuff to highlight the EOD version in general. We will provide the final list of the new EOD perks ASAP. This one's huge because they're getting rid of one of the most alarming features they were touting, which was prioritized matchmaking through paying 250 fucking doubloons. So they're like, okay, we'll just get rid of that. That's good. That is just good, no matter how you look at that. Thankfully, they're getting rid of it. It's really concerning that they were even toying around. Well, not even toying around. It's really concerning that they were actually going to go through with the idea of introducing a prioritized matchmaking feature to this game. That is a huge red flag. But it's going bye-bye now, so the community is just going to have to trust that in the future, Nikita won't try and pull some shit like that again. I don't know how you'd ever have trust in this guy at the helm of this company going forward, but that's not for me to decide. That's going to be for individual players. And 5, we continue to work on patches, new content, events, and the game release itself no matter what. Thank you for your time, love, and hate, and thank you for your increased attention to the current situation, Nick. Hey, no problem at all, Nick. I'm always happy to insult greedy little assholes like you. So, the community's response to this one has been much more positive because they are directly addressing some of the bigger problems and introducing their solutions to it. Now, they are not budging on the $250 price, which I am still upset about, even as someone who was never going to buy it. I hate the precedent that that sets. If a lot of people buy $250 DLC, obviously other games are going to be taking note of that and seeing how far they can push these prices and also how closely they can tap dance on this line. Because Nikita right now is unironically a pioneer. He is stepping on every possible landmine of greed, so that way every other video game company can take notes of what communities will and will not accept. So he's doing a lot of guinea pigging for the entire industry right now, and it makes me a little concerned going forward. Another thing that's absent from this update is addressing the fact that they lied. Like, point blank, lied. And they also tried to sneakily change shit on their website to hide that fact. No mention of that at all, and that's super scummy. So I do think that's something that they really need to continue to be grilled on. And thankfully they still are. I did mention that it has been more positively received, but it's not by everybody, of course. There are too many people that feel betrayed by this company, and they don't want to continue to support this. If they can't trust the developer down the line to not try and fuck their wallet again, why are they going to continue to invest time into this game and money? It wouldn't make sense. So a lot of people are leaving for sure, and a lot of people are still calling out these facts that not everything is, you know, sunshine and unicorns here. Like, it's not really a full win or anything like that. It's just better in a bad situation that was made out of it. In the comment section, he did reply to a really important question where a user said, "You have still not addressed the fact you are planning to release DLC for the game that was not going to be delivered to EOD owners. Please confirm that EOD owners will receive all content for the game in the future as promised when we purchase the product." And he responded saying, "Yes, EOD owners will receive all of the DLCs." So I don't know if this is him slyly finally falling on his own sword here and admitting that the Unheard Edition is DLC. It is DLC. No matter how much he's tried to argue the opposite, I think this is finally him just eating shit on it and saying that yes, it is DLC, thus we will make good on our promise that EOD owners will get it for free. However, a comment that replied under his made a really good point, that this is only applicable until they try and make an argument again in the future about how their newest DLC is actually not DLC. So I agree with that user that there is a good chance that fast forward a year, 2 years, however long from now, when Tarkov's got another major version coming out here, a new major content delivery, he might try something similar about, this one's really not DLC, so EOD owners will not be receiving this one for free. You will need to pay for the upgrade, you know, all that hoopla again. Go through this entire song and dance once more. I do think it's possible, but I have no idea. Maybe Nikita put his hand on the stove, realized it's hot, and took it off and won't put it back on. There's no telling. This was a stupid, entirely avoidable situation that BSG found themselves in here. Their greed nearly ruined their entire game, and it still might have. There's probably plenty of people who have totally lost trust in Tarkov and won't stick around. I think there's a good chunk of players that are falling into that camp, and I think that's great. But there's still plenty of people that are going to play and support this game because they love the game. They might not love Nikita and they might not love the company behind it, but the game really hits for them, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it does suck that no matter what Nikita and BSG did here, they are still going to be making tons and tons and tons of money from this. Like, they went through, you know, a handful of days of being, you know, made fun of and clowned on, but they're still going to end up making an absolute fucking ton of cash from charging $250 for this DLC. But yeah, anyway, that's where the whole Tarkov situation is at here. I do think Nikita should be in the conversation for stupidest person in the gaming industry right now. Tarkov is a massively popular game that he almost ruined. Like, straight up buried from this greed. So I think that is a very impressive feat that you don't see often. Games of this size don't usually collapse unless a competitor comes out and beats it, which right now isn't happening with Tarkov. It still has an absolute stranglehold on this genre. So it is pretty impressive just how bad of a decision this was, and how reluctant Nikita was to change it, or do anything at all to make the situation any better for themselves. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. Friends, I am so deep in the void right now. I am down the rabbit hole of Looksmaxxing, and I don't know if I can ever get out. I'm starting to believe we really do live in a simulated universe, because I am in the darkest corners of this, and I can't believe that this is real life. I'm in the Looksmaxxing matrix here, and what I see disturbs me. It's an obsession for a lot of people. 10 days ago I made that video, Beware of Jelqing, where I focused on like the sillier aspects of Looksmaxxing, though admittedly still dangerous, where a big part of Looksmaxxing is about your wiener and being insufficient to sexually pleasure a woman, so they recommend Jelqing exercises, which is stretching the penis in dangerous ways that often cause irreversible damage. They'll have you beating your skin flute like it owes you money, fucking pretzeling your cock, sticking it in your own butt, and just doing these like weird accordion-like stretches on your meat that in a lot of cases destroy it in the process. And I was making a video kind of just talking about that and joking about it, because Jelqing is something that I'm familiar with because it was an old internet meme and something I also tried when I was young, stupid, and desperate. But when I made that video just 10 days ago, I was at the surface level of Looksmaxxing. I still had my water wingies on and I was above water, but now, brother, I'm a fucking seasoned veteran. I have seen some weird shit with Looksmaxxing, and I want to share a little bit of it with you. There is a complete hyperfixation on wiener size in a lot of Looksmaxxing communities, where they believe that that is everything. And they spend every waking hour of their day doing all that they can to penis max, like everything they can to stretch and contort, or even drugs in some cases, to increase the size in any way at all, even just like a fucking millimeter, they are doing. And it's really sad, because that's like their whole life right now. I found this YouTube channel who for a while now has been posting content pretty much exclusively focused around dropping this arcane knowledge on how to increase your cock size. Like, just look at some of these. The Best Extender 4.0 is here, and then that doohickey looks like some kind of gadget that Wile E. Coyote would use to try and trap the Roadrunner, like a bear trap for it. And that's supposed to be something for your most sensitive area on the body? Like, my God, please have mercy. And then he does like these interviews with people, so like how women react to giant penis. Like, his whole mentality is all about his cock. And it's, I don't know, like this obsession from not only him, but like the comments is so baffling to me. So you see that video right there? How porn stars blow massive loads? I decided to go to the comments and I saw this. I tried everything to blow bigger loads. Kegels and supplements and drinking 3 or 4 big glasses of celery juice a day. Hydration helps. Drink lots and lots of water. Outside of that, yeah, it's genetics. I've always been a dribbler, and I always wanted to fire rope after rope of semen just like Peter North did. I'm unfamiliar with the work of Peter North, but he speaks about him like he's the Babe Ruth of cum. Now there was a guy who nearly drowned some of his co-stars. He's probably been retired for 10 or 15 years now, but 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, that dude was the GOAT when it came to the old money shot. This dude's got an entire diet around increasing load volume. Why? It's not that important. I mean, I guess it's a cool thing to be able to do if you're fucking dumping DNA by the gallon, like, I guess? but it's really not important enough to start buying supplements for it, drinking 4 glasses of celery juice a day. This man's training like Rocky Balboa, but for cum. Like, brother, it's not that big of a deal. And neither is having an average size willy. Like, if your Johnson isn't pushing 8 inches, it's not the end of the world like a lot of these looksmaxxing gurus are trying to scare you into thinking it is. It's not like you're going to be, you know, forced into a life of solitude and, you know, virginity because you have a 5-inch penis or whatever. Like, that's not the case. You need to play with the cards you're dealt. Like, and buying into, like, supplements and the extender medieval torture device, all that kind of shit, it's highly unnecessary.
Penis extender that I can use throughout the day without it interrupting any part of my day. I wanted something that I can simply wear and forget about it. I didn't want to feel it too much. I didn't want it to bother me. Unfortunately, there hasn't been anything like this on the market. And if you're following me for long enough, you realize that I tried so many different ways to rig my own device from using different materials together. However, since now I have the resources and I have the connections to be able to manufacture such device, I present to you the new best all-day stretcher right here. Now, if you want to stretch and make your penis bigger in the most comfortable way, this is it. I guarantee you there's not going to be anything more comfortable than this.
Holy shit, a whatchamahoosit designed to stretch your penis all day, just trying to fight for a couple millimeters? That is not a battle worth fighting. That is a war worth losing right there. Trying to claw a couple millimeters away from destiny, like trying to defy fate, it's not worth the agony and it's not worth the money for it either. It's just not that important. It really isn't. Though I can't help but giggle at the idea where you wear that strapped to your leg and connected to your schlong and just keep it on all day, constantly stretching. Throughout the video, he talks about how much force it can exert, like 3 to 5 pounds worth of force, depending on how much slack is in the cord. That's a lot. Like, you're gonna probably hurt yourself over time. No doubt in my mind about that. Also, when it's all day, does that mean you also take it, like, to work with you? So, like, you're just walking around the office in your long pants trying to conceal it? They don't know I'm stretch maxing. Or you're walking through Walmart just going to pick up some item, and the whole time your cock is just being tugged on by the stretching device? Like, that's yucky. I hate to think about that. It's this fixation that people are being kind of pushed into with things like looksmaxxing becoming so popular, where every single possible insecurity that anyone can ever have is being focused on and highlighted and put on this pedestal where it needs to be fixed. And the only way to fix it is through buying these things or watching these videos and supporting this person who's giving away this information, when that is just not the case. It's leading to people just making themselves miserable all the time. Like I said in the last video, there's a couple of positive things about looksmaxxing on like a very basic level, such as telling people that it's good to brush your teeth, it's good to take a shower, it's good to like fix your hair or dress nice. That's all very positive general advice. That's basically just being a parent to people, to be honest. Like that's not this level. This is where it gets dangerous, and it's really done by bad actors that are peddling shit to you to make money off of your insecurity that they are only exacerbating. It's just a horrible practice of keeping people miserable and always feeling insufficient so that way they're responsive and more susceptible to buying this kind of garbage or subscribing to the people that just keep feeding into this belief. And it, like I said in the last one, it must be really confusing growing up in this kind of landscape right now because it's so prevalent, where you're getting told that, you know, getting laid is extremely important, and in order to get laid, you need to have a 6-figure income, you gotta have hunter eyes. If you don't have hunter eyes, well, hope you enjoy no pussy for the rest of your life. You don't have a chance. Just all kinds of awful things. I could sit here and play 1,000 looksmaxxing videos and shit on them, but at the end of the day, I actually just feel bad for the people who are constantly being fed that. Just being told all the reasons why they're ugly and the only ways to fix it are by following these guides or buying these courses or these products. That's just fucking miserable. And then what inevitably happens is you brainwash other people into following this path, and it becomes like a cult, a looksmaxxing cult, where they've bought in and they will never come to terms with the reality that they've been scammed, pretty much. Or they just never realize that the things they have been peddled about, like how important you know, the cantle tilt is or whatever really don't matter that much at all. You don't need to be mewing 24 hours a day, mewing in your sleep, in order to get the perfect chiseled jawline, in order to lead a happy, successful life and have a significant other. It's unnecessary, and a lot of times, in pretty much every case, it's a bunch of baloney, a bunch of hooey to begin with. So, it's just that's the reality of it. I was shocked in all of my Looksmaxxing deep dives I've done over the last 10 days to see how many people defend it. That was the weirdest part to me, and I really think it's because they've just bought into it and then feel trapped like they have to keep supporting it, otherwise it was all for nothing. But yeah, I just had to rant about Looksmaxxing a little bit. I've spent too long in the rabbit hole to not talk about it a little further past the Jelqing video. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. I've said this before, I legitimately feel terrible for young men in the modern age because the internet is constantly contaminating their mind with what it means to be good looking or what it takes or what you need to be successful as a man. There's so much I could talk about on this subject here because the young male audience is highly monetizable, so there's a lot of these ghouls that have recognized that they can get a ton of doubloons by creating a problem and selling the solution to this audience about, like, you need to be having sex 3 times a day, otherwise you're a complete failure and you're less of a man for it. If your jawline isn't chiseled, if you don't have hunter eyes and a cantle tilt, you will actually never see a boobie in your life. I'm your only hope. I can be your savior if you buy my course. Otherwise, get ready for a pathetic life of virginity, you swine. And it even extends into the fitness industry. I'll blow the lid off of this one right here, so get ready. Almost every fitness influencer you see online is on gear, but some of them pretend that they're not, saying that they're natty, and they push supplements and other products onto their audience under the belief that they can look like them, even though it's impossible because they're not on the same gear or anything. But they'll still say shit like, hey, got these new pills in, it's, you know, eucalyptus urine extract, so boof one of these in the morning and you'll have a 6-pack by night. You can use code WAYMIN at checkout. And it's all just a bunch of fucking dirty barnacles. It's all just a huge money-making scheme. The young male audience right now, I feel, is more insecure than ever. And that means that they're buying more bullshit than ever. And the one I want to focus on today is Looksmaxxing in particular. Curtis Connor recently did a video on Looksmaxxing, and it's a banger. I think he covered it really well. However, there was one very crucial component of Looksmaxxing that he decided to sit on the sidelines for and not do. And I don't fully blame him, but I go where men dare to tread. I'm not afraid. He shied away from doing Jelqing. Looksmaxxing incorporates Jelqing, depending on whose courses you're buying or whose advice you're following. And Jelqing is an old friend. Well, definitely not a friend. An old arch nemesis of mine. This is an old internet meme from back in like 2009, 2010-ish, I can recall, somewhere in that general ballpark. And fundamentally what it is a penis enlarging exercise where you masturbate a certain way in order to enhance your size over time. Now, for obvious reasons, I can't pull up any video tutorials that demonstrate the technique. I can't show any of the diagrams or any of that go over this advanced maneuver. So we're going to do this the old-fashioned way, old natural. I brought a tool here, a little instrument that we're going to use to showcase the Jelqing jutsu. So there were a couple techniques back in the day. So, you know what, let me go ahead and give you my origin story with Jelqing, because I actually have a personal connection to it. It's an old friend. Rather, not a friend at all. We weren't on friendly terms. An old arch nemesis. If you've been around the channel for a while, you'll know that when I was really young, I got most of my advice, my life advice, through the internet. Mainly Reddit, a little bit of 4chan as well. And back then, Jelqing was kind of popular as a meme. But no one really subscribed to the belief that it would make your cock bigger or anything like that. Some people did it as a joke, or some people did it because, I mean, you had nothing to lose at the time. So there was a few techniques that floated around. I'll showcase both of them on this banana here, my helper. So the most popular at the time was the old hook method. And what you would do is you'd hook one finger around your cock at the base, and then you'd really, like, hard, slowly, like, go up towards the top of your penis, like you were trying to squeeze toothpaste out of the tube. And you would do this for, like, 10 reps. And you'd do this for, like, oh... Okay? We didn't need the stem of the banana anyway. We can still continue the demonstration on this part. So you would go through this process for, you know, whatever your rep range was. And by the end of it, the idea was it would be stretching the blood vessels and stretching all the tissue in there. So over time, that would be its new norm, like this stretch state. It would grow it over time because it's constantly being forced to stretch. However, there was never any real scientific evidence backing that up. The other big one at the time was you would take like this, and you would go from top and base, and you would kind of like you were playing a fucking small accordion or something. You'd go back and forth, just like rubbing it together, and then what? Had a little spillage out the ass end of it. And what would happen over time is the same thing. Again, stretching the blood vessels and the tissue and all that, and supposed to grow your wiener. But as you might imagine, it doesn't really work. It never really worked. There was never any evidence for it other than like anecdotal shit, which I'm pretty sure were just trolls getting people to keep doing this, because what it does do, and what is very well documented, is it damages your penis, and it can actually lead to impotence. And I have a personal story in regards to Jelqing because I have tried it. Like I said, I got most of my advice online, and being an insecure young man, I was miserable. I hated my appearance. I hated pretty much everything about myself. So I thought, why not? I'll give it a fucking whirl. So I did it, and I hurt myself. And I think I told a story not too long ago where I did like a pseudo Jelqing exercise one time and actually had to go to the walk-in clinic because I could no longer piss. Basically what happened is I damaged everything internally in my cock. Like, just threw everything out of whack. It was all cattywampus, and I was no longer able to pee, and it swelled up like a giant fucking head of cauliflower. And that is something that does happen with Jelqing. There's no real right way of doing it. There's ways of doing it that don't hurt you, but nothing really grows your cock through Jelqing. And this has been well known for over a decade. But now, since everyone is so insecure because they're constantly being fed all of this ridiculous information and all of this awful advice and all of these terrible courses from terrible people, it's led to Jelqing being dusted off and being preached as a real thing. So there's a lot of people that legitimately have been Jelqing to try and grow their cock because they're not satisfied with their size. Spoiler alert, no matter how big your dick is, you always want it to be bigger. I'm 6.5 inches and proud, yet I would love if my wiener was a little bit bigger. Every man in the world would. But Jelqing is not going to be the thing that gets you there. And you also don't need it. Despite what a lot of the Looksmaxxing community tries to indoctrinate the audience into believing, you don't need an 11-inch fucking sledgehammer. You don't need a fucking 15-inch battering ram that the police could use to bust down the door of a crack house. It's once again trying to prey on the insecurities of people online. That is the main thing right now that is generating so much money and why you see so many of these things popping up frequently. Now, I don't think every single thing about Looksmaxxing is evil. Like, I do think there are people online that are just sharing generally good advice and calling it Looksmaxxing. Super simple shit like brushing your teeth, taking a shower, or if you're unsatisfied with your physical body, working out and giving advice on like going to the gym, where to start, things like that. All of that's totally fine. Like, that's all good, positive stuff, absolutely. Eating healthy, great. But then there is that evil side of it, where it starts talking about if you don't have a jawline that could cut glass, you're going to be alone forever because it's the main thing women like, or the hunter eyes instead of the prey eyes, or if your dick isn't huge, and then they start like selling courses on like Jelqmaxxing and, you know, fucking jawline exercises and shit like that. It gets really bad really quick. But anyway, Jelq at your own risk. I personally wouldn't recommend it, but I'm not a doctor. I don't know what's best for you. Maybe you'd see incredible results. Who knows? I think probably not. I think what's likely to happen is you hurt yourself, but if you really are a Jelqing enthusiast, then I'm not going to stop you. I'm not your dad. I'm not going to bust in there and slap the penis out of your hand or anything. You go crazy on it. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because I could not believe how popular Jelqing had become again. So yeah, that's really about it. Beware of Jelqing. See ya.